Well, it's news night time, and you're welcome to the studios here at Ekuya Boahima. You're very welcome. Good evening to you. We're going to give you updates of the stories that are trending. We're live from the studios of Ekuya Boahima and streaming on Facebook. It's Metro TV Ghana. On Instagram and GH is Metro TV _ GH as well. My name is Ania from Pova. Let's take a look at the headlines of the stories coming up. Majority Leader Osei Mensah-Bonsu writes of minorities' decision to run to the Supreme Court over the e-levy, describing it as an act of bad faith, which will be an exercise in futility. As leadership crisis hits the CPP and PNC and related other dormant splinters political parties, we ask, is there any hope left for the Nkrumah's political parties? A widespread of lost cocoa farms to illegal small-scale mining activities, popularly known as Galamsey, comes to fall in the research by Ghana Cocoa Board in spite of government's effort to stop illegal Galamsey. And rights groups call on Kenyan authorities to investigate the murder of a non-binary lesbian, which has sparked a trending hashtag Justice for Sheila. You're welcome back. The news now in detail. Majority Leader Osei Mensah-Bonsu says the minority's decision to run to the Supreme Court over the e-levy as an act of bad faith and will be an exercise in futility since the president has already assented to the bill. The minority in Parliament last week filed an injunction application at the Supreme Court against the implementation of the e-levy, which is set to be enforced from the 1st of May 2022.
This whole business about the approval of the e-levy, they indicate to us that they had all left the chamber when questions were being put. You saw some of them were walking in. But that's another matter. What are the numbers supporting whatever? The burden of proof is on them. We did not resort to hard numbers in any event. It was a voice vote. Maybe somebody is crafty enough and ingenious enough to allot a voice per head, so we know how many heads. That is their matter. Let them take it to court to litigate. But I believe that it will be a Herculean task on their part to convince and persuade whoever.
Now, the Majority Leader, Osei Mensah-Bonsu, has also emphasized that a decision taken by Privileges Committee on the fate of 3 MPs who have been referred to the Committee over absenteeism in Parliament won't be subject to a debate by the House. Osei Mensah-Bonsu says his side disagrees with the Speaker's assertion that the report be submitted by the committee after its work will be subject to debate by the plenary before any action is taken on the absentee MPs.
The Privileges Committee establishes that any of them had no reasonable cause to have absented himself or herself, they will do a report on that. That is the end of it. That is the end of it. A vacancy, if they come to the conclusion that that person, a particular person, apart from the fact that he or she had absented himself or herself for more than 15 sitting days, had no justification for that absence, then, as per the Constitution, a vacancy shall fall. Or there shall be a vacancy ensuing from that conduct of the person. Having been summoned before the Committee on Privileges, you are not able to offer a reasonable explanation for your absence. That reasonability will be established by the committee. And once the committee determines that what you have said doesn't makes sense to us. That's the end of it. It doesn't come back to Parliament for Parliament to vote on it or for us to deliberate on it.
Meanwhile, the majority leader says the call for the first deputy speaker to recuse himself from the committee is unjustifiable since he is mandated by the standing orders of Parliament to chair the committee.
First deputy speaker is named by the orders to chair the committee. So if you are insisting that the first deputy speaker shouldn't chair, are you going to amend the standing orders to accommodate another person to be the chair? That's point number one. Point number two, if any member is conflicted, maybe so he has some interest in a business that is referred to a committee, that person can opt out to say that, no, this matter has come before us. I have a personal interest, so I'm opting out. Once he does that, it is for the caucus to replace him. That's the rule. So unless maybe you don't know about that, if you say that way, assuming without admitting that it's possible for the first deputy speaker to abdicate, there must be a replacement from the caucus that he represents.
Now let's move from Parliament to the Convention People's Party. And the Central Committee of the Convention People's Party, CPP, has directed the chairperson of the party, Akosua Frimpong Sarpong Kumankumah, to step aside. According to the committee, the current chairperson gained 43% of the total votes cast their chair elections of August 2020, which does not make her qualified for the position she occupies.
Statement copied Metro TV. The Central Committee has resolved to conduct a runoff election between Akosua Frimpong Sarpong Kumankumah and the first runner-up, Comrade Hajia Hamdatu Ibrahim. The Central Committee of the party has resolved that the chairmanship elections of 22nd of August 2020 did not produce a validly elected chairperson and leader for the party, as the leading candidate received only 43% of the total votes cast, not enough votes to qualify her as the chairperson and leader of the party.
As long as we have a chair and leader here, you can only take instructions. That it means that if I would tell you to call a CC and you call a CC, you do not go by yourself to go call a CC. You don't call other group and say that they are executives and therefore you can overturn the decision of the constitution for you to. You don't. The 8 executives who are part of me that were sworn in by the same council of elders who apparently don't want to listen to anymore. Every member who was there today was sworn in by me. If you challenge my position, you are challenging the entire CC.
The Central Committee also resolved a rerun should be conducted soon. In anticipation of that, a rerun Congress Committee has been set up under the chairmanship of Comrade Kwame Jantwa, chairman of the Political Affairs Committee.
Well, meanwhile, the General Secretary of the Convention People's Party, Nanaya Achempem Jantwa, speaking to Metro News this afternoon, says that the entire party made a mistake by allowing the present chairperson, who has less than 50% plus one vote required to win the seat, to assume the role. They're, however, ready to correct it.
The reason why we are going through all this turmoil is the fact that at the elections that we held in 2020, our chairmanship position, nobody got 50 or more of the valid vote cast. We went through a Congress that was not congregated. You know, normally Congresses are congregated, but because of COVID and the exigencies of the time, we didn't have that Congress. So when the results came, everybody had scattered because of COVID, people were not waiting around. You cast your vote and you leave. Then later on, we realized that the chairmanship position, nobody got 50% or more of the valid vote cast. And it says here, this is the CPP constitution. It says categorically in 92E that a candidate for election to the office of national chairperson and leader shall be deemed I'm not a lawyer, but I know shall is such a strong mandatory word, shall be deemed to have been duly elected if more than 50% of the members of Congress present and voted in his favor. He goes on to say, where at the election of the national chairperson and leader, there are more than 2 candidates and no candidate obtained the votes specified in clause E of this article, another election shall be held between the 2 candidates who obtain the highest number of votes to select the winner. We erred by not adhering to this. The person who did the election came up and said that the IOC, the committee that ran the election, erred. So we think that we should go for a rerun. We've been bombarded with petitions after petitions. We are in court. The bottom line of this issue, all the confusion is this 50% or more. Because once you are in a congregation, figures are tabulated. Right. And once they are tabulated, immediately it is shown that we didn't get it. So let's immediately come back and do another one. But this one, everybody was scattered.
Well, let's now come back into the studio, and joining us as the CPP on this CPP discussion is the Director of Elections in the person of Habib Yakubu to tell us more on what is going on in the party. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Good evening to you.
Thank you, madam.
Why did the CPP decide to swear in someone who, by constitution, didn't win the votes required?
Right. I think if I go by what the General Secretary just said, clearly the Convention People's Party, since 2011-2012, has been in a position that we, the party, we are in a very serious compromise position as far as our constitution is concerned. Since 2012, the party, for some reason, has failed to implement the party constitution to the latter. Now, before you constitute delegates, these provisions in the party constitution are so entrenched. I'm saying this because of just to correct the impression of Nana Yaa-Adyantwa, saying that the party's position are entrenched on Article 93E. So it is that the party position are entrenched on the various constituted bodies that are supposed to elect these officers. Nana Yaa-Adyantwa, and for that matter, all the party members today, from the national level to the constituency, because we don't have the polling station electoral area, the areas members are clearly illegitimate. I say so, and I repeat, illegitimate as per the constitution. But the reason is that the party is in a compromised state. And for that matter, the Council of Elders in 2020, Bright Akwete, who was then the legal affairs chairman of the party, took the party to court to challenge the then Central Committee capacity to move forward to organize the Congress of 2020, the 2020 before. Now, there was an election in 2016, which was organized haphazardly against this party constitution, because the party constitution says that if you go to Article Chapter 2, Structures of the Party, it tells you, and then why you should have these polling stations, electoral area, and then constituencies, because these are the main organs. Without these bodies constituted properly, you can have constituency executive who then becomes the delegates to elect the national officers, regional officers, national officers, and for that matter, the flag bearer.
Right.
But the CPP, from 2012, we failed to meet this standard. So in our position, we are in a compromised state. Fast forward.
And the compromised state continues.
Because we don't have what it takes to even talk about the constitution of the CPP. Because when Bright Akwete went to court, the Council of Elders have to come in because he challenged the capacity of those people, and for that matter, the party is not properly constituted. So the Council of Elders came in and said, okay, fine, let's take the party out of court, let's put the constitution aside, and get the current people, go to Congress, elect people so that we can move to the 2020 elections. Because clearly, there was a pandemic too. We didn't also need to have...
But what was stopping the CPP to review the constitution, maybe to your capacity?
Absolutely, yes. You need to go to National Delegates Congress. You cannot do that by Central Committee. Right. Neither can you do that with the NEC. So the highest decision-making body is the National Delegates Conference. But the CPP has a challenge. We combine our National Delegates Congress for elections and at the same time decision-making for the party to carry on the next or the future activities of the party. Well, we could not do that. So we are challenged because we are not meeting the standard of the Constitution. So when they came out, Council of Elders said, we'll take the Constitution, put it aside, run so that once these current people who are in office, get your acts together, put the party into proper shape so that we can now run a befitting party program that will carry us to 2024 election. Hence, the current chair and leader then said, okay, let's start as quick as possible. So we should be able to go for election before this December 2022. That's the challenge these people who are now running to court in Nana Yaa Adyantwa, what they don't understand. It's unfortunate, some of them don't even know the party very well. Somebody like Nana Yaa Adyantwa, I find it very difficult to understand why she doesn't. Look, for you to come and pick and choose, discriminate, you cannot just take the Constitution and target one portion of it and keep running with it when you know that clearly that is not right.
Are you in Akosua Sarpong Kumankuma's camp?
I am the director of election.
Are you in her
and
camp?
I am for the CPP. I am not for any camp.
You're not in her camp?
Yeah. I'm not for any camp per se.
But
the CPP as it is.
But Nana Yaa Adyantwa is the general secretary. You're supposed to be agreeing with her on a lot of things.
I am agreeing with her clearly so. That's why I'm saying that she's not quoting the constitution of the party properly. Okay,
so who called for the rerun?
That's another big question because she has no capacity, neither the central committee that... You see, it was not a central committee. I think it was just a fraternity or some get-together of some comrades who think that, they want to meet and discuss. There was no central committee, as we speak, that has churned out, and for that matter, the CPP making any statement. Then to that, because, there's a press release that I want to permit me to refer to you, that has come from the Council of Elders, that I've given a copy to your outfit here, debunking and then actually calling that part of that meeting that took place yesterday as a misconduct, an insubordination of office, and all those things. So that has to be given to your office, and that is to respond properly to the so-called purported central committee that was held yesterday.
Nana Yaa said that the rerun is going to happen, I think, in June or July.
That's a very good question. You should ask Nana Yaa Adyantwa, what kind of album are they going to use? That is clearly going to be a big challenge because as we speak, the Convention People's Party, we have no album. We have no people even at the constituency as we speak. And who are those going to run? Once again, we run for Kofrekobo, as we call it, and then that would expose us when we get to the polling station we get zeros.
The committee that swore in the chairperson that's agreed that they are going to, conduct a rerun.
Well, I don't know why they are just going after the head of this chairperson. There was no such of... we don't have... To the fact, I'm a general director of election. There's no document, clearly, there's no document that says that there was that kind of decision to the knowledge of the chair and leader who is in the office now. There's no paper.
But as it is now, they do not recognize her as a chair.
It is they who? The party recognized her as a chair. Those people who met, like I said, it was a fraternity or friendship. Comrades just sat down to meet and have a discussion. It was not a central committee. That is why there's an effect to that. There's a press release from the Council of Elders, who are one of the major organs who steps in to take decisions when we are in this kind of crisis.
You can see what's going on in the country. There are those who lost, confidence in the NDC, those who have lost confidence in the MPP, and the CPP or other options, especially the Nkrumah's parties. You're not giving any hope to the youth. What's the way forward? Well,
the way forward is clear. You see what is happening in CPP today. It has never happened before. That within the party, you have the rank and file, things moving like that. I think we are trying to put our acts together, make sure that we get to the grassroots. We want to make sure, as the current chair leader said, we want to give the party to the grassroots, and for that matter, the youth of this country. So the Nkrumah fraternity, and for that matter, the Convention People's Party, is really poised. That is why all this thing is happening. It's really poised, and we are ready. As on the 7th of March, we came out with the timelines for polling station, electoral area mobilization, the word mobilization, before we move to the elections. Once you mobilize, you have the people to contest for those positions at the grassroots. So the party is poised, and the Convention People's Party is ready out there for Ghanaians to take over. Once we have this lethargic NDC and MPP, who cannot move this country from where they are now? That's the best they can do. NDC and MPP, the best they can do is what they've done. So it is time for the youth of this country, join the Convention People's Party and for that matter, the Nkrumah fraternity, especially the CPP,
Right.
to take over this country.
Right. Habib Yakubu, thank you for your time. He's
Thank
the
you. I'm most
Director of
grateful.
Elections
I'm
for
most
the
grateful.
CPP. Now, let's turn our attention to other Nkrumah's parties. And there seems to be a similar division between the leadership of the People's National Convention as their internal wrangling lingers on. Now, whereas the Progressive People's Party, PPP, led by Dr. Papa Kwesindom, broke away from the CPP, All People's Congress, APC, led by Hassan Ayariga, also emerged from the PNC following a protracted dispute. With these in view, is there any hope left for the pro-Nkrumah parties? We're joined by political analyst and lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, Jonathan Asante-Okyere, for more on this. Jonathan, thank you for joining us here on Newsnight. You're welcome once again. So what's your reaction to all that is happening within the Nkrumah's parties that people are expecting that they should grow by now?
In some, I would say they are not ready. They are just not ready to wrestle power from the MPP or the MDC. They are not. Because parties such as those in the minority, and you seem not to get your act together. No Ghanaian, no voter is ready to just give a vote that will not count in the final analysis. And the point ought to be made that it is just quite unfortunate, but that is what it has come to stay. That is the reality. The reality is that if the MPP does not perform, then obviously the voters do not have any other opportunity to get a third force, but to bring back the NDC. And if it is the NDC that is in power and they don't perform according to the citizenry, then obviously they have to bring back the MPP, because these two parties appear to be well organized. They have structures in place. They have executives from the bottom to the top, and all these they have right financing, and sponsorship is always there, and that is the main reason why they have been running affairs of the country. And so, if we are talking about a third force, and all these years, all you think is that you are waiting till the election period, you organize, you put some few heads here and there, and then you go and contest, and you always have a bizarre result, at least not even 1%, then I don't think you will have to repeatedly do the same thing and expect a different result. It is just quite unfortunate. So, as I said, they are simply not ready.
Is it the media that isn't giving them attention? Because sometimes they actually blame the media. But as you can see, currently we're dealing with an issue with the CPP, who has decided to set aside its constitution because it has compromised the constitution since 2012 till date. And that is creating problems in the party. A media house would, observe that and say, well, that doesn't look like you're ready to even give us any good feedback. And so we'll go to political parties that are ready. But they sometimes just, end up blaming the media for not giving them enough airtime.
The problem is that they don't seem to have any alternative view when it comes to the MPP and the NDC. It is a bit conflicting for them. The point is that if it is the MPP that is in power and they are invited to the studios, for example, if they speak, it's as though they are speaking for the NDC. And if the NDC that is in power and they are equally invited, when they speak, it's as though they are speaking for the MPP, because Ghanaians seem not to understand. The point is that they are not ready for any other alternative view. The point ought to be made that if we had a united Nkrumahist front, and I saw that in Dr. Papa Kwesindom because he was quite resourceful and ready. And if he had done so, then obviously we would have had a third force. Now, if that does not happen, the CPP does not have the numbers. The PNC does not have the numbers. ACP, GCPP, PPP itself. And it's just quite unfortunate. That is the reality. But if they continuously do the same thing, they don't have to expect to get a different result. It is not the media that is shortchanging them. It's not the media that is sidelining them. It is just that they are not able to forcefully make their views known to the electorate and then create that kind of alternative view for us to know. And based upon that, then they can move forward. Don't forget that the likes of Mr. Kukuba Akwenso have always advocated for a situation where they will be able to get some parliamentary seat. And it appears that every now and then they seem to be interested in the presidency. That is a mirage, because in reality, you just cannot win. You just cannot have no parliamentary seat and think that all of a sudden you are going to win the presidential seat. I mean, that is unrealistic. So they seem to be continuously deluded with the fact that, look, as if Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is still alive. It doesn't work like that. All their members have diffused either into the NDC or the MPP, because these are the two parties that seem to be attracted to the citizenry, because nobody is ready to waste his or her vote. So if they don't change their style of politicking, if they don't change their style of organizing themselves, I don't think that they are not going to make any impact as far as the elections are concerned. They don't have structures in place.
Right.
How many party offices do they have? Do they have polling station agent? Check. Whenever there is election, MPP, NDC are fully represented. It's as if they are doing the monitoring for the other minority parties. And who even feeds them? It is these same two parties that will be feeding the polling station.
Right. Jonathan, thank you so much for your time. Jonathan Asante is a lecturer at the University of Cape Coast and a political analyst as well. You're still watching News Tonight here on Metro TV. It's time for us to take a breather. We'll be back shortly. You're welcome back to News Tonight. Now let's do some more stories. And a total of 538 more students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology who were affected by the automated fee-paying system of the school have, as at the morning of today, April 2022, received a message of reinstatement by the school authority following the payment of the fees by some amount of 2,800 students with the support of the Students' Representative Council and the school's bursary. Now, addressing a joint press conference on campus, the SRC and the National Union of Ghana Students reiterated calls for management of the school to soften its stance on the 70% threshold, since most of the 6,000 affected students per data available to the SRC are genuine needy students who are unable to pay their fees. Now, they have condemned the attitude of some students who deliberately use their fees for betting and other business ventures on campus.
The Parliamentary Council of the SRC held an emergency sitting to discuss matters concerning the deferment of 6,000 students overpayment of school fees. The KNUST Students' Parliament House equally held an emergency leadership sitting to also discuss this matter.
Our interactions with the Dean of Students and management have proven that indeed management has a case, but their case is something that we may not be able to live with, because we believe that, one, this is too harsh, and it's a blow not just to students but to them, because in as much as the university needs funds to run, the university needs students to run too. Laws were made for human beings were not made for laws. So if you make policies and laws and at a certain point in time it comes against the very essence of our educational foundation, then it is only right that together as the National Secretariat and the SRC, we call for a quick relook at the situation.
When you look at the data, you realize from what the PR said that there were about some students who went for interview. Out of the interview, 13 people did not qualify. And if you go into the data of the 13, it could tell you pickets of the answers that you need, showing you very well that a marginal number of students find themselves in such situations. But I want us to concentrate on the subject matter, and that is what is most important for NGOs, philanthropists to come in to help. The needy students, 225 students out of about 235 that went for an interview. It tells you the picture that majority of them are needy students. And that's what I want us to gear our concentration on in this press conference.
Meanwhile, management of the university has extended deadline for payment of fees for deferred students by 1 month. A letter issued and signed by the university's deputy registrar, Daniel Norris Bequin, reads, and the letter actually says that the management of KNUST has agreed to extend the deadline for payment of the fees for deferred students by 1 month following a meeting with the Minister of Education, Yao Educhum, and other stakeholders today, 22nd of April 2022. All students were affected by the deadline of the 7th of April 2022 now have up to 20th of May 2022 to settle their fees without further delay. We therefore urged all affected students to take advantage of this great opportunity to pay up the approved fees before the commencement of the first semester examination on the 23rd of May 2022. Students who have genuine financial challenges are directed to contact the Students Loan Trust Fund located at the Grasak Building, KNUST, and via info@sltf.gov.gh for support. We further entreat all interest party stakeholders, in particular parents and guardians, who take special notes in the assisting of the awards in the following and follow this directive. Management will continue to support genuine and needy students through the Office of Dean of Students, as well as we have always been doing. And signed by Dr. Daniel Norris Bequin, who is the Deputy Registrar, University Relations Officer, KNUST, for the registrar. Now, in the wake of recent government resolve to stop funding public tertiary education and deferment of over 6,000 students at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, advocates are calling for consideration of the paramount interest of less privileged students and sustainable means to fund tertiary education that is related to deliberations and decisions.
Are deferred for various reasons, which may include failure to attain semester-approved GPA, absenteeism, and failure to pay tuition fees. The announcement of deferment of over 6,000 students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology over failure to pay 70% of academic tuition fees at a time when government intends to win public universities of subvention has raised concerns over securing interest of less privileged students. Advocates say winning of the universities from government support without due consideration may expose the less privileged students to new policy of schools geared towards raising funds internally, but which may turn out to be unfavorable to them. Pursuant to the concerns, the Member of Parliament for Akachi North, Peter Nochu Kote, while calling for a reversal of the deferment, is urging government to hold a stakeholder engagement to find sustainable ways of funding tertiary education.
They are going to lose the academic year. And once you lose this semester, it will be the academic year. And you have to come back next academic year. And given the infrastructure challenges that we have in our institutions now, if they should go home and they want to come back, 6,000 plus, with those who are going to seek admission next year again to KNUST, there will be explosion. We need a stakeholder engagement as a nation. How do we fund tertiary education and education in general? So we need to holistically look at funding of education in the country. That's why we have been urging government, let's have a stakeholder engagement on education in the country. And when we do that, we'll be able to advise government that this is the way we think it should go.
In same vein, Student Representative Council President of KNUST, Michael Adofo Ebua, is also calling on parliamentarians to work to ensure interests of the less privileged students are considered during the deliberations to wean off the public universities from government funding.
The way forward is that as Parliament is considering bills as to how the structure of fees payment should be for the ensuing academic years, they should also critically look at how they can be able to exempt needy students who face peculiar situations.
You're still watching News Night here on Metro TV. It's time for us to take another breather. I'll be back shortly.
Live on Metro TV. My name is Winston Taki. And now to Forbes business story. Ghana's cocoa industry has over the years been threatened by the activities of Galamsey operators. According to the board chairman of the Cocoa Board, Peter McMahon, a collaboration between agencies in the industry is necessary to fight against Galamsey and protect the nation's water bodies.
Ghana has 16 regions. If you go to major regions where cocoa are produced, like Western North, Western region, Ashanti, Eastern, many of the farms have been devastated by the activities of Galamsey. Are we going to just look at it? Because people's income are being wiped off. We are aware that our river bodies have been polluted. We are aware that some farms have been degraded under the guise of Galamsey. We cannot sit in Cocoa Board and find solutions to them. Equally, you may not know some of the setbacks the activities of Galamsey is causing or the havoc it is wreaking on the cocoa industry, which has continued to be the mainstay of the economy of this country from time immemorial, from Tete Kwashi. Are we going to sit aloof and let the cocoa industry die? No. And certainly, Minerals Commission will not approve of that. So there's the need to judge and find common solutions to common problems of Team Ghana.
Now, away from that, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has commissioned a pharmaceutical manufacturing plant at Lakpleku, Ningro Pram in the Greater Accra region. The move, which will create some 2,500 indirect jobs, is also expected to reduce importation of infusion into the country.
$5 million pharmaceutical plant put up by the Atlantic Life Science Limited in the Ningo Pram constituency of the Greater Accra region was supported by government and under its One District, One Factory program. The state-of-the-art facility has the capacity to produce all infusions, eye, ear, nasal drops, and inhalation anesthetics to meet local demands. Speaking at the event, Trade Minister Alan Chermatin mentioned that the plant will cut down on importation of such products.
It will provide a basis for us, as a matter of policy, to be able to restrict the importation of pharmaceutical products that can be produced locally. And government has already issued a policy that requires state funds that are being used for procurement for any products in our country, first to be given the opportunity to locally manufactured products.
Tina Mensah is a Deputy Minister of Health.
The policy provides a framework for a multi-sectorial approach to ensuring that we achieve self-sufficiency in vaccine production, manufacturing for national use by 2030. Again, the Ministry of Health has worked very hard with the Ministry for Justice and Attorney General's Office to get the National Vaccine Bill ready for Cabinet.
President Akufo-Addo was happy about the operationalization of the factory, saying it will create some 2,500 indirect jobs.
Out of the total investment for the project, which is estimated at 35 million United States dollars, Ghana Exim Bank provided a credit facility to the tune of 10 million United States dollars for the procurement of plant, equipment, and machinery. I'm again pleased to learn that this new factory is generating some 380 direct jobs, and when fully operational, will generate additional direct employment for some 400 workers. In addition, the facility is expected to create a total of 2,500 indirect jobs. The transformation of the Ghanaian economy from one of production and export of raw materials to an industrializing, value-adding economy remains one of the central priorities of my government. This requires, inter alia, a vibrant investment climate and a robust regulatory and incentive regime to support private investments in new strategic sectors.
Away from that, Ghana is a signatory to the Paris Agreement on renewable energy, where countries pledge to reduce carbon dioxide and other greenhouse emissions, as well as to adapt to the impact of climate change. Speaking of the Ghana Economic Outlook, the Deputy Energy Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, says this will be a difficult task to fulfill since fossil fuel has still played a critical role in building the nation.
The maiden Ghana Economic Outlook Summit was on the theme Climate Financing, Positioning Ghana's Economy in the Era of Energy Transitions. Speaking at the event, the Deputy Energy Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, says the nation was in a hurry to execute the Paris Energy Agreement since fossil fuel still plays a critical role in the nation's industrialization agenda.
But even those who are calling upon us to jettison our natural resources, they continue to develop dirty sources of energy for their economies. I am a lover of renewable energy, but truth be told, the kind of intensity, energy intensity you need to support industrial development still rests with fossil. And so to those who think that we will not do renewable, we want to do renewable. We want to transition at our own pace.
The policy lead at the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Charles Ofori, called for a paradigm shift.
There's so much potential in this energy transition, and the rhetoric that Ghana or Africa needs to pollute to industrialize is something that we should actually do away with and begin to look at energy transition as an opportunity and then not as a threat.
That'll be all for business here on News Night. My name is Winston Taki. We take a break. We'll be back with sports. Stay tuned.
My name is Phil John Quarter. It's time for sports. Let's focus on week 26 of the Ghana Premier League at the Accra Sports Stadium. Defending champions Accra Hearts of Oak managed to put 3 past Accra Lions. Let's see the highlights.
It's Costa's cross. Now comes Suraj. Samari fails to clear. Suraj goes down. Referee waits play on. Controversial call from Sefainchi. Awako. Obin Jr. Here is Salifu. Apia Kubinau. Daniel Afriyie makes it 1-0 for the Phobians. Hatzabok in the lead.
Engineer who really does want to poke the ball to Salifu Ibrahim, and once he checked onto his right foot, I was wondering if he was going to square the ball to Bani. That was a mountain. That was a mountain for Lions to climb down.
Highlights of the Ghana Premier League week 20. Let's see the fixtures also on your screens now. Final, which team your team will be playing during the weekend starting tomorrow. Like I told you, the Phobians managed to beat Accra Lions by 3-0. Great Olympics will be at Accra Sports Stadium. Welcome the gentlemen from the Ashanti in Ash Code on Saturday. Midiama will play against Wafa from Sogakwa, while Babaya Sports Stadium. Kotoko will play against Legon Cities. RTU trek all the way to the Central Region to play against Elmina Sharks. Let's go to the EPL quickly and find out. It will start with Arsenal play against Manchester United before lunchtime. At the King Power Stadium, it will be Leicester City playing against Aston Villa. Norwich City will be at home against Newcastle, whilst Brentford will welcome the Londoners at Tottenham Hotspur on Saturday. Then on Sunday, Brighton will play against Southampton. Chelsea will play against West Ham, another London derby. It will be another derby, but this time around in the city of Liverpool. It will be Merseyside derby. Liverpool playing against Everton. That should be a cracker on Sunday. Then on Monday, Crystal Palace will play against Leeds United to wrap up week 34 of the EPL. Let's go straight to Spain now. See some fixtures before we hand over. This is the results, rather. Okay, this should be a fixture. Barcelona playing against Villarreal over there. Well, that's your sports. The studio is standing by for the latest in showbiz, my dear.
Thank you, Phil. It's time for entertainment news. My name is Asiedua Akumia. Now, award-winning music producer MOG admits that many music producers are struggling, but he is of the exception because a music artist will first pay him before he starts working on his song.
Let me say on my side, everything has improved because, of course, you need to pay MOG before it comes wild at you. But the remaining producers are still struggling, and they come to me asking for help. I try to give them advice, but it's still the same. It's still the same. We are still struggling.
Tough. Now, he further added that he understands that things are tough now, but music artists should do well to pay producers money due to them.
I would say it's not only Ghana, it's almost in the whole world. But most producers need money to actually improve on their craft. So like at least pay them something small, you understand? But the artists, sometimes we understand the funds are not there. Yeah, but at least Kakrabi Brana, But unfortunately, some don't want to give, some don't want to give.
Well, that's it for entertainment news. My name is Asiedua Akumia. International news is next. All right, so Azira, thank you for that. Now let's take the international stories. And right groups are calling on Kenyan authorities to investigate the murder of the non-binary lesbian, which has sparked a trending hashtag justice for Sheila. Sheila Lumumba's body was found several days ago, according to LGBTQ groups. The killing has started an online debate about LGBTQ rights in Kenya, a country where gay sex is illegal. Members of the country's LGBT community routinely face criminalization and stigma, and efforts to criminalize gay sex have been thwarted. Now, it is not definitely clear what happened to Lumumba in the central Nyeri country, but there are reports that they were raped. So Lumumba's body was discovered days after going missing when their colleagues at the hospitality business noticed their absence, according to news report. LGBTQ and LGBTQ supporting Kenyans have taken the social media to highlight the discrimination the group faces. Kenya's National Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission says what happened to Lumumba is not a one-off. Police have not yet determined the motivation behind Lumumba's killing. And that's all we have for you by way of News Tonight. It came to you live from the Akua Bohema studio at Northridge. My name is Annie for Ampo. Thanks for watching and have a good weekend.